welcome back to the channel, folks. This is episode 2 of the guitar build series. In the last episode, we joined the top, these two pieces together. So today what we're going to do is we're going to cut this shape out and we're going to sand it down to the right thickness and probably put the rosette in as well, all in one episode. So I'll show you how I go about doing that.
All right, let's get started. For the next step, make sure you have ear protection.
Okay, so I've traced the outline of the guitar. We're doing a 14th fret dreadnought, by the way. So what I'm going to do is use my bandsaw and just cut this out. I'm going to stay about an 1/8 inch away from the line the whole time, just so I have a little bit of room to work with. So, yeah.
So did you outline this, or did the wood come with this outline?
No, I drew it with my own template.
Can you show us your template?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I just made this out of a piece of plywood. So.
Very nice.
Yeah, I just traced that onto the wood and then we'll cut it out. So here we go. There we go. So now it's cut the shape. It's not perfect by any means, but it doesn't have to be right now. But it's starting to look like a guitar a little bit. The shape at least. So next what we have to do is, this is really, really thick right now. So we gotta sand this down. Let me see how thick it is actually. Right now it is 166 thousandths or so. I want to get it down to about 120. So we'll take this over to the drum sander and sand it to thickness.
So while you were running it through the machine, were you always putting the bottom in first, or were you sometimes putting the top in first, and were you flipping it?
Yeah, well, you had to flip it because there was glue on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sometimes I did the bottom first and the top. It really doesn't matter, just as long as you get it flat. But now you can see how nice and smooth that looks. And remember our center joint that we glued together, it's pretty much invisible. I can't even see it, can you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that turned out really good.
Do some turn out better than others?
They're usually all about the same. I've seen some guitars where it's maybe not so good. But so now is an aesthetic choice. We can either have this side showing or this side showing. So they look honestly about the same. I think I'm going to go with this side showing. So I usually write just out, just so I know that's going to face out. Okay. So now, before we can cut our sound hole, we've got to know where to put it. So I'm going to take my template and I'm going to trace all these braces out and where my sound hole goes. And I'll just be done with that. So maybe come around here, you can watch me do it. So I'm going to mark where my center line is. If I can find it, it's like invisible, which is good. I can't even see it. Let's see. maybe I can see it on this side. I think. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Maybe. And I think it's about right there. So now I'm just going to draw my center line right down the middle. Okay, just like that. See that? Okay. How's it look?
Good.
Okay, cool. So now on my template, I've got a center line, and I'm just gonna match with it. Let's see. Alright. So now I'm just gonna trace all the way around this.
Why are you tracing that?
It'll come in handy when I go to glue on the top, when I glue it onto the sides, just so I can see where everything's at. So this is where my sound hole's gonna be. And I drilled all these little holes at the end of the braces so I can just take my pencil and just,
Oh, that's such a good idea.
yeah. There's all kinds of ways.
So there's already several holes in this frame.
Yeah, and I can just mark it. I can mark everything at once. And then once I've got them all marked, I'll just connect the dots with my ruler, and then we'll come back after that.
Where can someone find something like this?
Online, just like type in like dreadnought guitar bracing pattern or something, and you'll get a million options. This one is actually from a 1937 D28.
So you can be specific in your
Yeah.
search.
Well, I got this from a guy I know named John Arnold. This might be available online, I'm not sure, but I just happen to know a guy.
So now Will is connecting all of the dots.
Yeah, I just
That
poked
he-
a hole and or poked all those dots, and then literally just take my pencil and do it like this. Pretty old school, but it works. Okay. That's the only one I need. Yeah. And there's a lot of different patterns you can do. This is called forward shifted X bracing. That means this X brace is 1 inch away from the sound hole. And that's how the Martins from the 30s were made. And then there's another kind called rear shifted bracing, where this would be down about another 7/8 of an inch, and just gives a different sound. Most people agree that this is the best sounding bracing pattern.
Is there like a guitar company you can think of that follows the other one?
Well, Martin did in the 1940s. They used rear shifted a lot. Yeah, I'm sure other people do too, but let's see. I can't see my dots. I know that's one. I guess it's that. I really don't know. Yeah, that looks about right. Got another one here.
So do all your guitars follow this exact template?
I would say 90% of them I do this bracing pattern. And they've all sounded really good, and I see no reason to really change anything. But
Why did you change that 10%?
just to experiment.
To experiment.
Just to see what it would sound like.
And you definitely prefer this way.
I think so, yeah. But, you know, you at home, you might prefer a different bracing pattern, so. But this, like, for loud bluegrass guitar, this is what you want, pretty much.
So when you finish, it's gonna look just like this, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I hope so. Martin was kind of the company that invented this pattern. And pretty much every guitar maker tries to copy what they did.
Do you think some guitar makers try to invent their own pattern?
Yeah.
Or that doesn't really happen?
For sure. But no, at least in my opinion, no one has come up with a pattern that will sound better than this one. At least I haven't heard it. So, anyway, so that's kind of what we're gonna look like. So, now it's time to do our sound hole. So, our sound hole is gonna be right there, the center of it at least. We're gonna take a little punch, and I'm just gonna punch right in the middle. Okay. Now for my little rosette jig, I've got to drill a 1/4 inch hole right there. There you go. A nice little pilot hole.
Where did you get all your equipment?
This was actually, I think it was my granddad's. It was just in here. This was his shop, so the drill press was here and the bandsaw was here. And these aren't like crazy nice tools. Like they're old. Like this bandsaw is like from the 1987. So like they're pretty old, but like they work. You know, you don't need a ton of fancy tools to make a guitar. You need some, but not a whole lot. Okay, so now it's time to actually cut out the rosette. All right, so for the rosette, I've got this super cool little jig. We call it like a fly cutter or a circle cutter, whatever. And really awesome little jig. And it came with these different bits. So I can cut different size channels. So if I want to do a D18, I use that one. If I want to do a D28, I use this one. If I want to do a D45, I use that one. And then I use this little one to cut out the sound hole. Can you see that? Okay. So this being a mahogany guitar, we're going to use this D18 little cutter thingy. So I'm going to take it out. And the guy who made this jig, his name's Marty Howard. I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but if I have a good tool, I'll let you know what it is. His website's on there if you want to check him out. But anyway, so the standard sound hole on a dreadnought is 4 inches. So I've got this little stop set where it'll cut a 4-inch sound hole. So I've got this little drill bit here, and because I like to have an eighth inch gap between the sound hole and the first ring of the rosette. So I put this drill bit in there.
Someone might not know what a rosette is. Can you explain that?
The rosette, it's basically the decorative part around the sound hole.
Okay.
Yeah, really just for decoration more than anything. I can't say it does much for structure, maybe a little bit, but so I get it put in there. And just tighten it down. I don't know if you can see that. I'll snug it up. See that?
Yes.
So now this thing is going to spin in the drill press, and it's going to cut a channel exactly that size. Okay? So we'll come back when we're ready to do that. Okay, so while the camera was off, all I did was put this thing in the drill press. And then I got it right, see that little post there? I put it where it goes right down in that hole that I drilled, okay? And then this little cutter, I don't know if you can get a good picture of it, go down. Yeah, see that? That's basically gonna cut our channel, okay? And then I've got it clamped down to my table pretty well. One thing you gotta do is make sure I go the right depth. If you want to, you can set the stops. I don't really use them, I just kind of do it by eye because I know about how deep I need the channel to be. So, all right, I'm just gonna rip it. And there.
Oh, that is beautiful.
See how you got that perfect little channel?
How deep do you think that is?
Oh gosh, I don't really know exactly. Maybe a 1/16 of an inch. But now we've got to take this thing out. Okay, you might can get a better view of that now. Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's our Rosette channels. Now we have to cut the sound hole out. So we've got to change the bit. Now I've got this bit specifically for the sound hole. I can get the thing in there. All right. So now we put it in the same channel and we just tighten it down. We get the same thing. All right. Now we just put it back in. So we're basically going to do the same thing, but with the sound hole, we have to cut all the way through. But what I'm going to do is cut about halfway this way, and then I'm going to flip the top over and do the other half. Because I've had some problems with it getting a lot of tear out. So it's a little safer if you do it halfway on each side. Okay, so that was roughly halfway. Now, I'm just going to take this top and I'm going to flip it, and then we'll cut it from this side. What?
Not perfectly lined up.
That doesn't matter. As long as that's in the hole, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So we're cutting a circle. But thanks for pointing that out. All right, here we go. Okay. So I didn't actually cut all the way through it, which is fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a razor blade and I'll just cut with the razor through the look to the rest of that. So. See if it'll pop out. There he goes. All right. See that?
Wow.
We have a nice little channel.
Looking good. Mm-hmm.
So next we'll actually inlay the rosette, and that'll be that. So yeah. Okay, so we've got our rosette channel cut. So now it's time to actually install the rosette. So I've got all my different little purflings. They're just little pieces of wood. Got something stuck in there. So I'm just gonna assort these in a certain fashion and glue them in. But before I do, I'm gonna seal around the sound hole with shellac because I'm gonna glue this in with super glue. And super glue can stain the wood a little bit. So if you use shellac, it'll seal it. And that way you don't have to worry about it staining it. So I just do a little bit of shellac around there. Not much. Okay, that's it. Now, got all these different things. I've already kind of cut them to the right length. And I literally just inlay them. It kind of broke, but it'll still work. All the way around. Like so. It doesn't really matter if the joint's perfect there because the fretboard will cover it. So now I'll do the same thing on this one. These two are pretty easy just because it's one thing. Yeah, there we go. All right, so for the middle one, what I do is, all right, we've got a bunch of layers of this. See if you can get it. I can take a little piece of tape and I'll layer them up how I want to. So I like to go black, white, black. And then to add a little bit of color, I'm going to do a red one in the middle. I think it looks pretty nice.
What color options are available to purchase? All? Or is it usually just these colors?
I got these on eBay. Black and white's the most common, but I've seen green, I've seen light blue, I've seen brown. I don't know.
Could you technically spray paint it any color you want?
Not really. At least I don't know how to do that. All right, so we got them taped together. And I'm just gonna try my best. I'm dealing with like 7 different pieces here. I'm just gonna lay them all down in there. Now I can take the tape off because it's in. Okay, and then I'm just gonna work it all the way around. Okay. All right, so it's in there. Now, I'm just going to take my super glue and I'm just going to wick it all in this thing. This is my favorite way to glue it. You could use wood glue like Type Bond or something. Or if you're using plastic, you can actually use acetone, which I've done before. But this is just the fastest way, easiest way, I think. Try to get every little nook and cranny.
Why is there like a little hole right there where they don't meet?
Well, it doesn't matter because the fretboard will cover that.
Oh, okay.
So there's really no need for a perfect joint. So now I'm going to take this stuff called activator.
Can I see that again?
Yeah. I'm just going to spray on here. And that makes that glue dry instantly. So that means this is already dried and ready to go. So now what we're going to do is take it and run it through the sander again and sand it off. And this top will be pretty much done, except for the braces obviously. But, so yeah, we'll do that next. And there's our beautiful little rosette.
You just ran it through one time.
Just one time. Looks pretty nice, right?
That looks beautiful.
Cool. All right. There we go, folks. That's how we do the rosette.
Is that the end of step 2?
That's the end of episode 2. So thanks for watching and stick around for the next one.
All right. Bye.